In the beginning, it is revealed that long ago, creatures called trolls emerged from the nature and rocks of the earth, possessing hearts of ice. In ancient times, humanity lived in full communion with them, coexisting without disturbing each other's presence. Until one day in Norway, a young crowned king named Saint Olaf was tasked with Christianizing the country. For this king and his new edict, there would be no room for beings considered primitive and horrendous. Thus, an order was given to hunt and kill such creatures, regardless of whether they were small and defenseless. The king, with his new way of ruling, ordered that all be destroyed, dragging them into the sunlight, where they would turn to stone. Such cruelty spread, and the creatures became disgusted with the belief of Christianity, increasingly surrendering to death, and their kind was wiped from the world. The scene then cuts to the family of Tobias Tiedemann and the little girl Nora, who listened to this tale from her father. Her mother interrupts the story to say it is time for bed. Before leaving the room, the mother coughs harshly, worrying the whole family, but she asserts that she is fine. The little girl is excited about the story and wants to know more, so her mother approaches and says that one day she would take her to see the troll's wall. The scene then changes to 30 years later in the present time. After a few years from the battle presented in the first Troll movie, we see a house in the frozen valley of Steinboddelen. Suddenly, someone enters the house looking for the owner. There is no one in sight, just books, notes, and photographs from research. Before long, the owner appears from a door. She knocks the man down and threatens him with a knife. The woman is named Nora, and she was the little girl from before, but now she is grown. The man is Andreas Isak, an old friend of hers. Seeing the study books about tales, such as Talking to Trees and On the Trail of St. Olaf's Tomb, he asks her what she has been doing. Nora, however, does not like him meddling with her things, and after taking her books, asks him why he is visiting. He already knows that she has been seeking more knowledge about the history of trolls since she was very young, even without much support. Then Andreas reveals that he and a group are seeking her help. Nora already knows who they are, as the government tends to send one of their subordinates alone for their secret studies. However, before the woman can say she is not interested in helping, Andreas reveals that she will like to see what he wants to show. She is then taken in a helicopter to a secluded area in the high frozen mountains. On the way, she is forced to sign a confidentiality agreement, but she has no intention of staying silent. However, Andreas tells her that if she talks, everyone will think she is crazy. Knowing that it would be worthless, she signs random words. After a few hours of flying, they arrive at their destination, at a hydroelectric power plant called Vermach, which is well guarded. Upon entering, they are greeted by Professors Mahler and Weingel. It is revealed that they knew about something that had always existed, but that no one and not even the governments had credited such knowledge. The professors explained that during World War II, there were projects and weapons created initially to sabotage the plans of the criminal Hitler, but actually for something much greater, and to hide what they found, the Iotune project. Nora is taken to a huge compartment where the reason for her presence is revealed. She is surprised and enchanted to see the gigantic troll, which is paralyzed and being studied there. This creature is approximately 40 meters tall, and its robust body weighs hundreds of tons. The scientists study the creature, and to ensure everyone's safety, they installed UV light around the monster. The ancient researchers named the colossal troll Iotune, but Andreas calls it Megatrol. This situation makes Nora uncomfortable, but soon she is introduced to the head of the research, Mrs. Marion Radani, an evolutionary biologist. The leader questions Andreas about Nora's presence, which was not what she wanted before. However, Andreas insists that he needed her to make progress on the project. Otherwise, the government would terminate their work. Nora inquires about the Megatrol, and one of the professors states that it has been asleep since the day they discovered its colossal body. However, since its discovery, only one pulse was emitted as a sign of life, and they found out that it has some kind of heart. The research revealed that the creature has DNA that bears no resemblance to that of a human and is similar to that of a tree, different from what was previously known. Nora asserts that such creatures are made from nature itself, which for Marion is just superstition and not scientific at all. Nora questions if that is what they wanted to show, but Andreas invites her to another location in the facility. Nora meets Siggy, Andreas's pregnant wife. She is happy to see the woman and her baby. Then Andreas introduces the room, which has books and writings from ancient times, even before the era of Christ in various languages, all regarding the tales of the trolls. Nora is impressed when Andreas presents a torn piece of an ancient writing, which is the Law of King Saint Olaf, and this writing was dated in the year 1030 years before his death. Nora is amazed to know that all her research and her late father's studies were real. The professor explains that the veracity of the writing stating that the trolls must be exterminated from the earth is real. He claims that the possibility of many other creatures hidden is even greater. Moeller asks Nora to help them understand the troll in case one of them wakes up again and decides to attack humanity. Andreas provides all necessary resources for Nora to assist with the research. With so much information, Nora asks for a moment to go to the bathroom and descends the stairs. However, she goes to the Megatrol's compartment and takes the elevator up to the creature's head, where she admires it up close. She wonders who the creature is and touches it with one of her hands. Nora then begins to chant a song. In the troll's control and observation room, the guard is alerted to movements which worries him. Dr. Nora finishes her chant and turns around, and it is at this moment that the creature opens its eyes, beginning its awakening in front of everyone. While Nora is happy and enchanted, the others are stunned and frightened. The Megatrol soon realizes that it is chained and begins to get agitated. One of the professors asks them to prepare the UV weapon in case they need to use it. The leader, Marion, impressed with the creature, claims that they cannot destroy it and then spills coffee on the controls, causing a short circuit that damages the weapon's activation. With the tremor caused by the creature, Nora begins her descent. Meanwhile, the operators of the facility start to retreat. With a colossal form, the Megatrol breaks its chains and accidentally hits the elevator where Nora is, sending it flying. Fortunately, the doctor is fine and is rescued. Meanwhile, Mahler takes cover and happens to have in his possession a troll artifact that seems evolutionary. Unfortunately for Professor Wangle, his life is short-lived. He remains paralyzed and fascinated by the moving creature, and unfortunately, he is crushed. Next, Andreas, Nora, Marion, and Siggy, in panic, manage to see the colossal creature destroy the facility and exit the mountain, starting its journey far away. Hours later, at the Riga Air Force Base, we meet Major Christopher. He receives the group and takes them to the secure facility. At the location, Nora talks to Marion, confronting her about how they were treating the Megatrol. The leader claims they were seeking knowledge for the betterment of medicine. But for Nora, placing human life above another living being is improper, and it was not right how they were treating the living creature. They are interrupted by the new Prime Minister Martin and the Army General. In the conversation among them, Martin reveals that the Iotan project was too risky to proceed, and this proved correct in what he thought. Even as Marion and Nora argue about how they must again take possession of the Megatrol, the defense minister demands the immediate extermination of the creature. Nora tries to confront him about the fact that trolls do not have destructive intentions. Aware of the disasters that occurred in previous battles which caused many deaths, including a brother of hers in combat with such creatures, the minister states that he will not make mistakes and will not give opportunities to know the monster's intentions, so his decision is firm. Later, reflective, Nora admires a piece of rock that belonged to a destroyed troll, which she carries with her to remember her past mistakes. Andreas sits beside her to cheer her up, but she stands and states that she will go on an adventure. She then invites him to the military meeting room, where the major talks about the combat plan with the Megatrol. At the end of the orientation, Nora tries to talk to Christopher, but he, knowing her intentions of going on the mission, denies any invitation from the doctor because last time innocent people died. However, before the major leaves, Nora confronts him, saying he owes the favor to her father. Knowing that the woman does not fear danger, and that is what she wants, Christopher agrees to let her go with them. Consequently, Andreas offers to go with them as well. With no other choice, the major accepts but requests that the two keep their distance and obey him. Nora asks what the hunting plan is and is surprised to see the new modified helicopter for troll hunting. The aircraft is equipped with powerful UV lights capable of frying the creatures, turning them into boulders over time. Soon, the project leader Marion joins the team. She caught Christopher's attention, which facilitates her permission to board. Before departing, Andreas says goodbye to the woman and their child, promising to return safely. A few hours later at the ski station, everything is calm, and fun takes over the crowd enjoying the show in the event hall. Before long, the show is interrupted by tremors. People freeze and try to understand what is happening. When suddenly, a deafening noise echoes throughout the place, and then the Megatrol tears the roof off the party hall. At first, people do not panic and start filming and taking pictures of the creature, but this does not put the Megatrol at ease. The light irritates it, and it starts an attack. Panic begins, and everyone runs for their lives while others are grabbed and mercilessly eaten. The military aircraft approach, witnessing the creature's attack from afar. The Major activates the weapon and moves closer to the Megatrol. However, the light is not as effective as sunlight and only partially burns the monster's arms. The attack must be continuous to damage the great troll, which makes Nora worried. She asks the Major not to get too close, but he does not heed her warnings. Furiously, the Megatrol drags a zipline and shakes the steel cable at one of the helicopters. The aircraft nearly collide head-on, but unfortunately, due to the damage caused, Amir's helicopter, a close friend of Christopher, crashes without any means of rescue. This infuriates the Major, and then he positions the aircraft in front of the Megatrol, preparing to confront the monstrous beast. Nora, scared, begs the Major and his friend not to do such madness, but fortunately, the Megatrol just glares at them and walks away from the place. Minutes later, the military and police convoy are already in the area, and the Major laments his losses. Meanwhile, Marion questions the fact she witnessed and claims that such creatures are so cruel. Nora, contrary to that thought, asserts that just like 3 years ago in the previous attack, the trolls did not want to kill, they just wanted to go home. The scientist confronts this thought of the doctor, arguing that they have not harmed the Megatrol. However, Nora states that it was not this generation that harmed him, but the previous one, and the experiments the government was conducting on him instigated his anger. Andreas asks if there is a way to communicate with the troll, and Nora says she knows someone who can help them with that. A few hours later, in a quieter location among the mountains, a man finishes some repairs on his house. He receives a call from his wife who went to town to buy supplies. The dog barks loudly, which annoys the old man, but he soon discovers the reason and is enchanted and in shock. The great Megatrol is calmly passing through the area, and without deviating from its path, it destroys the man's house, apparently for the second time. Meanwhile, the group heads to a secluded area in the Dovry Mountains, a restricted location. There is a large hole in the mountainside covered in snow, and shortly after, the group enters the area. Further back in the mountain, an ancient trap is revealed, where people built it to lure and destroy the Troll King. They use troll pups for hunting and Christian symbols to cause physical and mental pain to the creatures. However, what the stories tell is that the Troll King survived and escaped from there, but the monster child was never seen again. Nora arrives at a dark cliff in front of a large natural chamber. She then asks everyone to remain still. She starts hitting her rock on the ground, waiting for a response from something. She assures the others not to be frightened, and soon a large colossal troll frees itself from the rocky wall in front of them. The creature slowly approaches the group and watches them carefully. Nora approaches and shows the rock she carries, explaining that she has been coming to this location many times, but has never found anything, yet the creature always observed her from the shadows until it knew it was safe. The creature is the son of the ancient mountain king. Nora touches the creature and begins to sing, which calms the troll prince, who then repeats the gentle chant. This impresses the others present, earning her the title of Troll Whisperer. The group is happy to be welcomed by the creature, which does not see them as hostile beings and can also understand them. Nora then asks a favor from the creature and hopes to be answered. A few hours later, the group is in another valley, waiting for the great Megatrol. It does not take long before it approaches, following Nora's signal. As agreed, the Troll Prince emerges from behind Nora in the snow and presents himself to the Megatrol. The colossal trolls begin a dialogue in their language, while the humans await the outcome of the conversation. Apparently, the Troll Prince asks the Megatrol to stop the attacks and return to peace. The Megatrol shows that he does not agree and positions himself in front, which prompts the Troll Prince to take a big step forward. This confrontation takes place over the Great Frozen Lake, and when the Megatrol strikes the ground with a powerful blow, cracks cause the ice to break and drop the great troll into the cold water, quickly submerging him. The group, in despair and panic, seeing that the communication plan has failed, jumps into the aircraft before being massacred by the Megatrol. By a narrow margin, the aircraft is not hit by a blow from the creature. Fortunately, the group escapes, while there is no sign of the other troll, which leaves Nora lamenting. They then head to another base, where, while observing the map of where the creature has passed, they discover its route. So far, the steps follow a fixed path leading to Trondheim. This makes Nora thoughtful, and when she looks at her notes and reflects on the stories her father told, she discovers that the place where the Megatrol is headed is the ancient capital where King Olaf ruled, seeking revenge. Without wasting time, The group quickly heads to the city of Trondheim, where they meet Esther, the historical guide who believed in the tales told by Nora's father and is a researcher about the existence of such colossal creatures. She takes them to the Nidaros Cathedral, built in the year 1070, and in the past, it was from there that the church governed the entire country, which is why it is considered the heart of Norway. Here is not only a religious and historical retreat, but also houses the unknown tomb of Saint Olaf, which is what the group really came to seek. What Mrs. Esther believes is that the remains of King Olaf are hidden somewhere in the cathedral's lower part. The lady takes them to the basement of the cathedral and says that many curious individuals have come to the location in search of what she seeks, but no one has been able to find it, and it is known that for the church to hide something so valuable, well, there must be an important reason. They follow until they reach a small cave where there is a wall with paintings of the deceased royalty. Andreas approaches to see a small flaw and discovers an opening. When the lady asks for space to check, she finds another hidden hole. Realizing they are locations of the wounds that caused his death in combat, Esther discovers all the locks. Nora picks up torch cables from the wall, which soon are revealed to be the keys to opening the locks. Then she connects the keys, and together with Andreas, they open the location and discover the entrance to the king's tomb, which is surrounded by waters from a sacred spring. The group is happy with the discovery and quickly opens the tomb. There they find the king's body in good condition, along with the legendary silver sword. Inside his royal tunic, they find the missing part of the royal writing. Quickly, Andreas communicates with his wife and asks her to register the find and join it with the other piece. In the true sense of the writings, they said that such troll creatures should not be killed, but welcomed and have a place to live. The true purpose of Olaf was to ensure the survival of the trolls and not to eliminate them, contrary to the church that wanted to commit such atrocities against the species. Nora is astonished by the discovery and states that the Megatrol seeks revenge against all of them and the country's foundation, the church. News begins to reach everyone in the country about the attacks from the Megatrol and where the colossal creature is headed. The defense minister simply states they will evacuate the already lost city and take care of the creature afterwards. Back at the cathedral, the group is warned about the evacuation, but they decide to stay to fight, though they wonder with what weapons. They believe that Olaf's sword is the true weapon that would defeat the trolls, but reflecting on it, Nora discovers that it is not the blade, but rather the holy water that causes greater damage to the creature's structure. The spring there is small, but soon Mrs. Esther says they have just found a large sacred spring. Now needing people to help them, Christopher and Marion head to the streets in the evacuation area and ask everyone to listen to him. After a brief reflection on what could happen, but since the priority is to defend their city and their family base, the population agrees to fight. Without wasting time, a large number of people enter the cathedral and take many buckets of the sacred water. The military fills barrels with the holy liquid and adds explosives, and also replaces the gunpowder in their weapons with something more holy. Time is short, and they do what they can. Soon night falls, and the hour of confrontation approaches. Andreas and Esther are responsible for the church bells, while the tremors begin and the colossal Megatrol enters the city, destroying everything in its path. The Major gives the signal for the bells to ring, which torments the creature's senses. He begins the attack, and the military starts firing their ammunition, which upon hitting the creature's body causes it slight wounds. Furiously, the Megatrol tears a large tree from the ground and throws it toward the church, destroying the first bell and nearly killing Andreas. The combat is intense, but the damage against the colossal body of the Megatrol is insignificant compared to its grandeur. The Megatrol approaches to crush the soldiers when the Major triggers the detonation of the barrels of holy water. The liquid burns the colossal body of the monster. But this attack plan is not enough to kill the Megatrol, which only becomes even more irritated by the assaults. When the creature turns to crush Nora and the others, it hears a loud growl in the distance, calling it to stop. The attack on the city ceases, and the Megatrol turns around. Soon it faces the Troll Prince, who survived the fall into the lake. They then both roar their war growls, and a troll battle begins. Inside the river that cuts through the city, the colossal trolls strike each other fiercely, easily destroying the bridge. However, it is evident that the Megatrol is stronger than its opponent. Nora wants to help, but is prevented, yet Marion states that they can combat the enemy troll from the inside. They just need to place the holy water inside its body. The difficulty is how they will do that. While the group thinks of an idea, the Troll Prince is mercilessly struck by the Megatrol. Andreas has a plan and asks Nora to distract the creature while he calls for aerial support from Christopher. Nora approaches the river and throws the explosive ammunition, but this does not halt the Titan's attack. Marion joins her, and together they shoot what remains to them. In the helicopter, with the swaying of the aircraft, Andreas almost drops the bomb, but unfortunately, he loses the detonator. Knowing Andreas's plans, Christopher offers a grenade and asks him to use it as the detonator. The women's ammunition runs out, leaving them hopeless to save the Troll Prince, who is being drowned. Marion gives up and steps back, even though Nora wants to continue the ineffective attack. Determined, Andreas asks the Major to position himself. He then sends a farewell message to his wife, saying he loves her and asks her to tell their son that Daddy did everything to keep him safe before ending the communication. Then, before the monstrous beast could crush Nora, Andreas draws the Megatrol, determined to sacrifice himself for the good of all. He then leaps onto the troll creature. He falls into the immense troll's mouth, and soon the great inner explosion occurs. The creature's body begins to disintegrate from the inside out, and before the beast can regenerate, the Troll Prince emerges from the water and tears out the enemy's heart, sealing its fate. After the victory, the Troll Prince heads to its shelter, and thus the new king of the mountain begins its reign of peace, and life returns to normal for the Norwegians. With Andreas's family and friends seizing the opportunity to live in peace, thanks to him. However, this peace will not last, as a secret society has in its hands, through Professor Mahler, a pup of the Megatrol. This begins a new era.